First, all of our staff members introduce themselves.
Yeah.
I'm Deb Bulk, I teach first grade. Missy Brickle, teach 4K.
So we're here to talk about Pillar 1 and Pillar 2. In Pillar 1, we're really focusing on our keys training that we are all getting trained on. So this evening, we're going to chat a little bit about some just big ahas that we've had so far.
I'm number 2.
Am I number 1? I'm number 1.
Oh, I was like, we haven't practiced yet.
So the first, so again, this is a training that we go through. You have to do the readings ahead of time in the videos, and then we come together for a facilitated section to learn about these different pieces. So in Module 1, some of the big ahas were this idea of the simple view of reading, which just talks about how decoding and language comprehension is what focuses on reading comprehension. That you have to have both of these really solid in order for us to get to this part here. And they talked about how at our younger levels, like 4K and kindergarten, you're building those foundational skills that are critical to get to this part right here. And then they also talk about Scarborough's rope, and it's all of these different pieces are interlined together. So there's vocabulary, there's language structure, verbal reasoning, literacy knowledge, phonological awareness, decoding, sight recognition, and they talk about how each of these different pieces works together, and you need all of those in order for kids to be successful for reading. So if kids are struggling with reading, it could possibly be the decoding strand, and if you don't have that, all of this doesn't work together. So again, those foundational skills are critical, and you have to work on them all together to make it a successful reader. Module 2.
Yeah. So we've only done the 3 modules so far, and Module 2 focused on the oral language, and we know that our kids love to talk. What we discovered in that module is that we really need to do some more direct modeling of some ways that people have conversations, and even just how to do some of the thinking that we want them to do. So one of the resources they gave us was some tools to kind of structure some lessons we could do. So for example, the question words. When we ask kids to ask a question, they almost, or vice versa, when we ask them to answer a question, they ask a question, or the other way around. We ask them to ask a question, they want to tell us a story. So we thought if we started using these as direct modeling tools, like I want you to ask a where question, and here's how you could start that. You could say, where is the dog going in the story? Where did the boy find his hat? And start using this language to help them form those questions in their head. And then we also have this just as a conversation starter to use these words with our kids. So some academic vocabulary that we can certainly expose our kids to. That you want to make a statement, you can ask or answer a question, you can restate what you heard. So just really modeling for our kids how the art of conversation happens.
Right. Module 3 was the last one we've worked on so far, and it was actually a pretty good sized module. It was one of the bigger ones we've had. But it was really kind of reaffirming that it was about phonological awareness. But because we are working a lot on Haggerty, which is a lot of phonemic awareness, which is a huge part of this umbrella, that phonological awareness, I can't even say that word. I'm never sure working on that. That it goes under. So it was really, really nice to also be like, oh, this is why we're doing it. This is why we're spending all this time on it, and that's why we're going 4K through 2nd with it to help build that foundation.
Can you read what they are?
Yes.
Or
So
you need to make your things bigger?
yeah.
Can't see anyone.
So there's words and sentences, rhyming and alliteration, syllables, and onset rhymes. And then there's a phonemic awareness, isolating, blending, segmenting, adding and deleting, and manipulating.
Switching gears, Pillar 2. These are 2 of the different areas that we have highlighted in our scorecard.
We recognize that all of our kids, especially the primary school, need to move a lot. So we've tried working in movement breaks before big academic times, especially before testing, with there's all different kinds of ways. The kids will walk outside. They use a lot of different online dance type apps and things like that. And then we have Mileage Club, which is fantastic. It's all parent volunteers that come in at recess. And the kids have little cards, and every lap that they run, they get to scan their card on the iPad, and it counts how many miles they've done. And I interviewed some of the kiddos to see what they had to say.
I'm so proud of myself for running so far.
To get closer.
for a child to succeed is they're not feeling loved, sharing, and feeling like they're part of that community. So our job is to work people focused. We're ready to learn, to include everything. We are at trying to always be at us, and we're empathetic and encouraging. Those are some of the things that we really need as we, with all the things that are going on with our kids now. And that empathy, compassion, no one knows what's happening in anybody's life. So it's really just making everyone understand adults and kids, what is
It's not as really loud in my office. Not so much here. But I figured the kids could tell you better about how mileage club made them feel and how they felt about it.
So Chantel Steinhorst, who works at the high school, she also has a daughter that is in our school. And so she has volunteered to really be the person to take over from this for Diana Carl. So all the students from kindergarten through second grade are enrolled so they can do this. 89% of the kids have participated in some way. And this is the total miles that they have already run this year. And then typically a lot of the kids will do three loops, so almost a mile when they're there. But it honestly, one of the things that we talked to the first grade team had shared a little bit, kindergarten team had shared a lot, is a lot of times when the kids have mileage club, it just calms them down when they come back, just because they're running and they run fast around, there. It's just a great way to spend that time at recess time. So it's not every recess that we have, it's when parent volunteers can come do all that, so. And then we also gonna highlight a little bit of,
So, this year, we decided or the impact team decided a fun way for our staff to come each other was to do a quiz. And we would have to give 3 fun facts about ourselves. And then Amy very randomly selected them and put them onto quizzes for us for 4 weeks. Yeah. So you guys took quizzes for us, but here's an example of ours. We have our pictures with ours, that way in case you don't happen to know the person's name within the building. And then the facts, and we had to match them up, and we graded, and you guys did a nice job. And we just say, we always get fun little stickers to go with it, because then teachers love stickers, and
They're scratching stuff.
right. So it was a fun way for us to kind of get to learn some fun things about our staff around us. It was kind of cool. I had to think of really interesting, different things that maybe somebody wouldn't know about me, and it was hard.
It was interesting to see, yeah. So this was for Pillar 4, and we had done something last year in the weekly memo where they just highlighted, whereas this time we thought this, and there was large engagement from that. So, but yeah, it was interesting to see the teachers that would kind of cheat on the different ones.
They would walk by and be like, "So I heard you like the sound of music."
So it was just a little fun to help get to know each other. So if you do want the answer key, you can. Missy does have the answer key.
No, you have it.
Oh yeah,
Or go
just
back.
here. So if you didn't get them all right, you're welcome to look to see. Do you have any? Oh, one more minute. Do you have any questions about any?
Yeah, what are the fun facts on that sheet?
These right here. I actually just put them in the weekly memo this past week. Oh, yes, I shared them all this year, so I do have those. So if you are interested about our staff, I'm happy to share the ones for our staff.
What's right there?
These ones, well,
It's not all on here. I only cut
it's
the
not
first
all
page.
of them. It's just the first page.
There are 3 pages of them.
Yeah, this one was a big one.
Let me rephrase the question, what's on that one?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sure because all this. So yeah, so that was just a sample.
I love
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
I love Dr. Brown.
Yep.
Sorry.
I was like,
Some are very basic, like favorite color, some are very specific.
This is our gallery walk, and we focus just in a little bit on pillars 1 and 2. But our focus, some things we want to let you know about our learning environment is we believe that relationships are a super important part, and so we work really hard to build those. We also understand that it's not something that education isn't something we should be doing on our own. It's a partnership with our families and with our communities. And so we try to really work hard at nurturing every student's full potential. We also believe in high academic standards, but also we know that students need also some support, and so we try to balance that. We really are focused on inclusion and developing innovative problem solvers like our strategic plan talks about, but we also really try to think about different ways we can serve our community. And so we didn't really touch on that in this presentation, but it is something that's really important to us. Pillar 1, preparing for the future, Win.
When? Okay, so when is our time where each grade level has a time where they just come together? Ours is 30 minutes, and it gives when purposes is to give you what you need. So if you need extra instruction in math, we'll give you some math time. If you need extra instruction in reading, right now, Mr. Stefani and I have been having a class of 13 kiddos between OSC and the elementary school working on an intensive intervention. It's just giving them what they need, giving them a place to be, and really working on that confidence. So, because we know that with kiddos that are struggling, maybe in school, that confidence is something that we really need to incorporate and really push through.
And one nice thing about this structure is that we understand that confidence comes with skill building, right? And so we think about different ways to do that, whether it's in small group reteaching or pre-teaching skills, whether it's also extending, right, and giving kids some challenge, and like we talked about, it's personalized. Some other things that
Is
we're
that
doing.
every student?
Yep,
Yes,
every
Every
student.
student has access to it, yes.
Yep.
Does every student take advantage of it, or is
Yeah.
it an optional?
It's
It's
not
required,
optional, yep, so.
And then this year we really focused on some advanced learning opportunities in our district.
Yes, so 5th and 6th grade went to a math meet where they essentially took a math exam and then graded themselves and figured out where they placed. So they trained and practiced their different math facts so they could go to that. They also, 4th and 5th grade did a Math 24. And if you're not familiar with that, Math 24 is kind of like a card game where you're practicing your math facts, so multiplication, division, I believe addition and subtraction as well. So they created a team and I went to that. And then I do Youth Art Month, which is the month of March. I get to pick 3 kiddos, so I'm at 3 schools, so I do one from primary, one from elementary, one from OSC. And I take their art, we frame it, and then we send it to an art exhibit in Madison. And the middle school and high school also participate. And all 3 of my kids' projects went to state this year, so then they get a little ribbon and all the fun things. So that is one thing that they participate in, and the spelling bee as well.
Yeah, so this year we got back in with the script spelling bee, and so this is our 5th grade student at the regional bee. So, financial literacy, you want to touch base on this?
Yeah, so there is a financial literacy class at the high school, and they came to the elementary school in OSC to talk to 3rd and 4th grade students about money and how to save money, how to turn your money into more money, and then what you can do when you have more money. There was a book that they used that was like kind of an interactive video, and the kids had to fill out a worksheet. It's part of the Jump Start Teen Tech program. So they came in, the kids were super involved, they were super excited to see the older kids because they think they're really cool. And the older kids did a great job answering all the questions.
All right, so our 5th graders that didn't participate in that got to do their own, so this year they got to pick a stock, and then every week we had to see if it went up, went down, how much we lost, how much we got, and then also, what would we do different? And you know, it's really kind of cool to see the kids starting to invest, starting to think outside of that box of, okay, I can take this amount of money and make it this much. So it's been something exciting for our 5th graders to watch.
And then projects. Projects are an important part of our curriculum because not only is it great to see students taking that ownership in their learning, but also it helps us reach our literacy standards, speaking, listening, research, writing. And so these are some of the projects that we've engaged in this year. We just had our OSC project night last week, and it was a great experience. If you did not get the opportunity to go, I'm sorry for you because it was a great time. There was a lot of people out in the community. We had a partnership with Ice Age Trail Alliance. The Ice Age Trail was our focus. We also had 3rd grade focused on communities, was for one of the projects this year within our MyView curriculum. And so you can see different people in the community who came and shared their expertise with our 3rd grade students. Our 4th graders, one of theirs was designing a playground and thinking about different needs that our student body would have, and presented that to me and challenged me to include that in our proposals. And then Fine Arts Night.
Yeah, in the spring every year, recently OSU joined us, but usually it's LES, we put on Fine Arts Night. So this year the music teacher and I collaborated with all of the classroom teachers and we did arts around the world. So I did a bunch of projects from different areas in the world, and then they did music from different areas of the world, and then in the classrooms, 5th grade focused on Mexico, and they created different projects, writing and projects that related to Mexico. 4th grade did heritage, 3rd grade did cranes, and like all the different parts of the world, yeah.
And
then,
OSC did Australia.
yes, OSC did Australia, so.
we all collaborate.
And
on
if you
that.
got to see through the halls, it was just beautiful. I mean, the artwork that these kids are making is just amazing, and their writing is being shown too. So it's a great night for the kids to show off to their parents and grandparents all the stuff that they've done.
So the other pillar we focused on is nurturing the whole student. Want to talk about why?
Sure. So at Lodi Elementary, we are people focused. We're ready to learn. We're including everybody, and we're determined to be our best and empathetic and encouraging. You know, with the world today, it is really something important that we value is putting that child first. And so that those kiddos understand what the compassion, what empathy looks like, and making sure that that whole child is seen, heard, and that everybody matters in our community.
Yeah, you'll hear us often talk about the word value, and the reason why we do that is we believe that our actions come out of values. So what you value is what you act upon, and so these values really do guide what we do. Thank you. And then assemblies, our community values team decided that we should have 3 assemblies a year. And so one we have when students first come back at the beginning of the year, which is this one right here. And so this is our kickoff to the school year, kind of set the tone, talk about our values, and help students know that we're excited that they're back and that we care about them. Then after coming back from winter break, we focus on our character trait of determined to be our best. And so we had a Lodi football team come and talk about what that looks like as a team, not just athletically, but also academically and for each other. And then we do that as grade level teams. And then at the end, after spring break, we had another kind of all-school assembly where we talk about kind of this last push, right? We're going into forward testing and going into the end of the year and the opportunity we have to make the most of it. And Mr. Steinberg was there also talking about the solar eclipse. We kind of wrapped that all in. Speaking of.
Yeah, so for the solar eclipse, we had a donation of all of the solar eclipse classes. So their first grade through 5th grade got to go outside and participate and watch the solar eclipse happen. And at the elementary school, all of the kiddos made their own t-shirts as they were learning about what the eclipse is and how rare it is and how it's really cool that we get to see it in our own area. So that is everybody outside, staring at the sun.
Yeah. And then grade level recess. So when we think about creating an environment where everyone's welcomed and included, it just made sense for us to try to be creative and to find out a way that we could do that as a grade level between LES and OSC. So from next year on, we will have lunch recess by grade level. And so all 3rd graders, LES and OSC, all 4th graders and all 5th graders will be together for their lunch and then lunch recess together. So, yeah.
That is the best idea ever, because the kids who are in OSC, then when they come back into the other grades, they're like, it's an us and them mentality with them all the time.
We're merging them together right away, yes.
Yes. Yep. Any questions for us?
Very good.
How much did $20,000 seem like
We'll get a quick run.
Yeah, I think their last week, or their last
This is the last
evaluation is.
No.
Still losing on
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They're not done
Let's
yet.
hope not.
No. Yeah.
Yes.
I know, like, I need to take the class
Yeah,
and figure that out.
exactly. Yeah. So yeah, they get super excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, we're gonna rotate.
Yeah, exactly.
For joining us today. So we're gonna talk about Lodi Middle School, and we're gonna talk about pillars 2 and 3 specifically. So pillar 2, as you know, is creating a sense of belonging by growing empathy and compassion, inspiring emotional and physical well-being for each student. I know one of the things we talked a lot about coming out of COVID is that mental health, that belonging, those types of things, and we've been doing a lot of different initiatives around those. So one of the things we wanted to do this year as a middle school is we wanted to focus a little bit on physical well-being. And naturally there's a correlation between those two of being physically healthy and physically active and mental health. But we've decided to have a goal that each grade level would go on 4 hikes. And that's gonna look different at each grade level. We kind of gave them some freedom for exactly what that was gonna look like. But that goal was chosen specifically to address the physical aspect of this piece. So we chose to go on nature hikes. So all students are provided with a slideshow of the benefits of hikes and spending time outdoors. So one of the things we had talked about is not only do we want to take these hikes, but we want students to know, like, why are we doing this? Like, how are they benefiting? Like, in the future, like, when they think about going for a hike, we want them to know, like, hey, there's really actual benefits. So we have this slideshow that we went through during advisory, just taking them through, and I won't go through the whole slideshow, I'll just hit some of the main points. But we just wanted them to really know, like, hey, not only are there physical benefits of going on a hike, but that's something that there's a lot of mental health benefits in terms of reducing stress, fighting depression, those types of things. There's also mental health benefits from getting outdoors and physical benefits of getting outdoors, getting fresh air, being in nature. And we just really wanted them to know these things because we hear a lot about like there's mental health issues. And physical activity and getting outdoors is one of the ways that we can work on those things. So one of the things we also did, and again I'm going to skip quickly through those, well, we set expectations for the hikes. But we are really lucky at the middle school because we back right up to the Ice Age Trail. So this is basically our hike. We leave right out the back door, our playground door. We can hike right up to the Ice Age Trail and we can get outside in nature. We can walk outside Lodi Stadium and get back, and that's about like a 20-minute hike for us. And so what we would do is we would do and it depended on the grade level, because some grade levels went on different hikes, but this was like our standard, like if you're gonna stick around the area, this is in general kind of what our hike looked like. And then we had some get to know stuff about the Ice Age Trail. I got too many buttons going. So as I said, they utilized the Ice Age Trail, and then also we had I don't know if we ever did get on the new track other than with Strive for Pride, but we did have a plan to go on the track at one point. I think maybe some grade level got rained out. But again, we try to do 4 hikes per year. And then we tried to give them some freedom. So 6th grade took advantage of a couple different opportunities. Number one, they went out to the school forest. Mr. Walsh is our 6th grade social studies teacher, and one of the units that he has is on maps and like the history of maps and like all sorts of different maps from ancient times and how they drew those. So what they did is they went out to the school forest and they actually hiked the trails, but not only did they hike them, but they drew a map of those trails and just tried to learn how to literally make a map of that. Another thing 6th grade team did is every year they do this, they went to Devil's Lake State Park where they participate in a program called Expeditions. And really the goal of that program is to bring the elementary school LES kids back together with OSC and really try to give them an opportunity to connect with each other. But as a part of that, they have a lot of walking and hiking in nature, so they use that time for theirs. And then in 8th grade, they partnered with the Ice Age Trail. Bill and Patty Welsh came and they talked about a new section of the Ice Age Trail and a little bit about the history of the Ice Age Trail. One of the activities the 8th grade team did was they actually mapped out some local sections of the Ice Age Trail. And, you know, that's one thing, like our kids grew up around here and we automatically think like, hey, everyone knows about the Ice Age Trail. It's really not the case. We're really lucky to have so many sections, not only super near us, but, you know, a 5-minute drive away, you can be on some different sections. So they mapped out some different areas and learned about some different areas, and then ultimately ended up taking a hike on the Ice Age Trail. That's gonna wrap up our hikes. I'll turn it over to Seth.
So the next thing that we really focused on this year was to kind of make our Student of the Month more robust. I kind of joined the PBIS team, I think it was last year. This is my 2nd year in Lodi, coming from Texas, and I kind of mentioned to Derek last year, I said, hey, these are some things that like we did that worked with the kids that I was around, and there's some things that we've been able to throw into Lodi. And like I said, the big part was the PBIS system and our Pride Passes, and that is where we honor and award students, and we recognize students from, you know, positive, I should know these, positive, respectful, integrity, dependable, and I think effort. We give them a pass, and we contact parents. We have an email template for maybe teachers who may be hesitant to speak to parents or don't know how to talk to parents. Me personally, I like to do a phone call. I like to call them at work on their cell to where they stop what they're doing, and they're just like, it really humbles you as a teacher, and it just solidifies why you're here. But anyways, back to Student of the Month, we wanted to really recognize also the students who are just consistent, and they just keep doing the right thing over and over and over again, and sometimes might get overlooked, right, because they're always doing the right thing. So our Student of the Month, one student is selected by each team. We do brainstorm these out. There's usually a working document that teams collaborate on throughout the week. It's not just like this, hey, this is the kid. The PBIS team rep for each grade level, during those grade level meetings, they'll be the one that drafts that letter. They'll put it in like a shared document, and then that will be sent out, kind of like mid-month. And that letter is printed, it's mailed to the parent, and it's emailed as well. So those are two really big ways to like kind of solidify that student, teacher, parent bond, in my opinion. As far as school, they're announced in the morning announcements. It's not just kind of like, hey, here you go. This is the Student of the Month sign that we designed and built out. There's these little tong things that go into the thing, into the bottom of the sign. Oh, you don't want like a middle schooler going, hey, I got it, you know. So it's like a safety thing. So that's, I think, taped to the back. Yeah, they get recognized with Subway. They get customized with a little order, and that they get to eat in front of their, it's not kind of like they're taken to a room and say, eat this, good job. It's like in front of everybody so they can be recognized. It's kind of like clout in a way, I guess. I just use that word. All right, and yeah, that letter is emailed to families. So this is an example of the letter, and I can read it to you, but you guys can read it for yourselves. I'll let you guys kind of glance over it, but this is kind of a very general statement. It kind of goes over like, hey, this is the Student of the Month for the month of whatever. This month was initiative, and this is where it gets more specific. And then as far as our team, we kind of have like bullet points and then quotations of what each teacher says about that kid. And at the end is the team and everybody included. So it's not like an individual person, it's the whole team coming together to support that student. And then, after that, I think that is it. Are there any questions?
I just have a comment. My daughter got that. We have the sign out in
You got
front of
the
our
sign?
house, and she was so proud.
Yeah?
So proud.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the sign is something that we came up with as a part of this of like, how do you really honor a kid and celebrate it with the family? And we felt like the sign was when we felt like we were really onto something. And we had Paula Tun design the sign with like, I don't know if you know, it is the little pin location there. Like you do on your phone, you pin your location and it's like a little pin thing. I just thought
Yeah.
it was a perfect design. Like they literally live there and.
Mm-hmm.
Have you noticed students changing their behaviors in an effort to try to attain that almost as an award, or
I don't
it's
think so.
motivating the kids?
I wouldn't say that it necessarily motivates the kids. I would say it's a way for us just to honor the kids that are, you know, going above and beyond. I think what Seth talked about with the Pride Pass system has motivated kids more because it happens more regularly. With the monthly ones, I don't think they're thinking all the time about like.
Have you thought about student of the week as opposed to month? I mean, how many months do you have in the school year, and how many kids out of the grade are
So there's
able to
9.
recognize as opposed to student of the week, where you could hit a lot greater number of kids?
Right, so that's.
Or would that diminish it in your mind?
I think the PBIS system is more geared towards that. It could hit a kid that could be doing the right thing right all the time. It could be a kid who I had last year who you were doing well if he was in the room for 2 days, and for me that was a huge win, right? So I think the PBIS Pride Pass system hits a wider range. The Student of the Month, in my opinion, even though it is monthly like you alluded to, like that's the cream of the crop, right? And also too, we don't want to water it down as well. So I think having it weekly for the Student of the Month at least would definitely water it down. The argument can be made about Pride Passes being watered down. Those are given, each teacher has one for each week, right?
Yeah.
So we've recognized that we've gone twice over, sometimes 3 times for the same student doing the same thing, the right, at the same, consistently, or hopping around, but we are intentional about hitting more students over a wide range in the Pride Pass system. But for Student of the Month, in my opinion, humble as much as it can be, it's top tier in my mind. So, yeah.
All right, I think our session is up.
Didn't take one.
So we're from Lodi High School. My name is George Ellick. I'm the principal at Lodi High School.
I'm Jamie Fossbender. I'm a social studies teacher at Lodi High School.
And we are both part of our impact team that has been working probably the last 3 years on our strategic plan, coming up with strategies that are going to improve our schools in lots of different ways. We are concentrating on 5 different pillars that you guys are really aware of. Tonight we're going to talk a little bit about some of the facets of Pillars 1 and Pillars 2, preparing for the future and innovative communication connection. JP will start.
All right, so the first one is preparing for the future in kind of academics. So obviously one of the ways that we're judged academically, or the one thing we should focus on academically, is our ACT which measures our college and career readiness, kind of like of our students. So one thing we've been doing is in our PLCs, which are kind of like groups of teachers in subject areas that get together once every 2 or 3 weeks or so, and we talk about strategies to help with students. And so one thing we've been doing is it's called kind of aligning your curriculum to the college readiness and ACT standards. So it's really like taking your curriculum and adding activities and exercises that really help to explicitly teach those skills. Because, for example, the research shows that like 30% of students are what are called implicit learners, so you can just teach it to them any way they want and they'll get it. But 70% of students are what are called explicit learners, meaning that, so for example, if you want them to learn how to inference, you can't just say like, oh, go inference. You have to teach them what is inferencing and then literally lay it out and spell it out. This is how you inference and this is what inferencing looks like. And so that's the strategies that we're teaching, but we do it in the context of the content so that it doesn't seem like just like an add-on. And then obviously by aligning those, and the curriculum is aligned 9 through 12, and so all the social studies teachers meet, and they're doing this in the other core curricular areas as well. But by doing that, obviously what we're hoping to do is have an impact on our actual ACT scores, which are still much better than state average, and we're really proud of that. And obviously what we want to do in the future, we want to look at data for schools that are comparable to the size of the Lodi High School and also to the socio-demographics of Lodi High School as well, so even more like nuts and bolts comparison.
Yeah, so comparing to the state, we should be above the state based on a lot of different things that we have doing. We're going really well in Lodi. So we want to look at those comparable schools our size around the state so we can compare to them. I think that's a little bit more accurate of a comparison.
So the second, preparing for the future, is a continuation of our Jobs Fair and Community Connection partnerships. So for those of you who are new, for the last 3 years, we've had a Jobs Fair and Career Fair at Lodi High School. Very successful this year as well. We had 39 or 38 career individuals come in and speak to our students on different career clusters. The Jobs Fair was a little bump in the road. We had a lot of private sector people. They're busy people, obviously. They had to unfortunately cancel, so we had like 30 originally signed up, and I think we ended up with 19, so we had quite a few cancel. But we're going to work on our communication strategy and try to make sure that we get more follow through with those businesses so that they can be here. Even still, the 19 that we're here, we're great, and the students had a great time. One thing that's really cool that kind of Joe likes to point out is that's being focused on the former students. So like former students are coming back. For example, Rylan Crow just came back to my economics class and talked to, he's with Milestone Investment Strategy and talking about econ class about investing in retirement. So we do a lot of that. And then one thing that's not on here that I want to quickly mention, Joe and myself and Christy Paskey and Grant Lemke had a chance to go to DeForest. Next year is going to be the planning stage for this. It's called Senior Reality Check Day. And what they do is you bring in 30, 35 community members, bankers, police officers, healthcare providers, child care providers, car salespeople. And what they do is the students, based on their career cluster, are given a salary. They calculate their gross salary, they calculate their net salary for the month, and then they basically have to run a month's worth of their budgeting by going to all these stations of what their life is going to basically entail, and they have to end up being positive and have a little bit of money left over. It's a that's why it's called a reality check. It's like, whoa, this is what it's going to be like to balance my budget. They're randomly assigned a child, stuff like that, or they might be single, so all sorts of stuff. So that's in the planning for next year, and then the year after that we'll implement that as well. So I'm excited to kind of conquer that task next year.
And I've said this a couple times to the other groups. One of the funniest things I saw at this reality check is a student went up and bought a car, walking from that dealership over to the insurance person. A police officer stopped them, asked if they had insurance. They said no, not yet, and they got a ticket. so it is definitely a reality check that a police officer's walking around just giving random tickets. And those kids were just totally avoiding police officers.
And there were also kids walking around, all of them saying, "I never knew kids cost so much. I can't afford another kid." It was really funny, actually.
Yes, it was great. All right, so the next pillar is pillar 3. It's innovative communication connection. We've done a lot of things in the district to communicate with our families a lot more effectively, I believe. Here are some specific things that we've done. Partnership with Lodi Enterprise, increased school-specific content. That's one of the things that we wanted to do. Caleb wrote an article about his life as a student school board member that was published in the newspaper. We've had 2 of our actors that are on the stage a lot. You saw actually both of them performing tonight, Bentley and Miranda. So they were able to write articles about what their life is like on the stage at Lodi High School. And then I just had Zion submit an article to me about 2 days ago. And he is one of our 4 students that go to the STEM Academy at Madison College. And he wrote an article about what that experience is like. So we're trying to get it out there in paper print, even though it is online, for more people to see and highlight some of our students in unique ways. Spirit Squad. So Spirit Squad is something that we thought of, especially after COVID. Our football games, there's a lot of excitement in the crowd. You know, we have a band there, we have cheerleaders, there's a lot of excitement. Basketball games and volleyball games, they just didn't know what to do, we found out. So after COVID, there weren't a lot of seniors that were teaching our freshmen or sophomores the cheers to get them really excited and to be involved in the game as opposed to just sitting there talking to their friends and on their phones. So we put together a Spirit Squad. The first thing we did is we found students that were interested. We met with the volleyball team. The volleyball team taught them cheers. These are the things that you need to do at volleyball games, and then they taught them to the other students. And from the first volleyball game to the last volleyball game, you'd see a huge difference in participation from our fan base, which is really good because it brings a lot of energy to the kids on the floor, but also to the parents and other fans in the stands. We started to do some things with basketball games, teach them some really simple cheers, things that they should do in every possession, offense and defense. It was going pretty well. There wasn't as much excitement as I expected there to be. So what we did is me, along with 4 other teachers, showed up to a game, dressed as students. It was jersey night. We got in the crowd, we actually gave out little cards with the cheers, and we did the cheers for a half. And we made them do it. Like, we were really loud and obnoxious, of course. So we did those cheers, so I really appreciate those teachers showing up. Those are the students that were the Spirit Squad. I just told them to look serious in the picture. And then when they were actually in front of us, these kids, and then we were behind them, we helped them lead cheers, give them a little confidence, and then we left at halftime. And it continued the rest of the game. It didn't continue as much. I mean, there was some of it, the rest of, like, a few more games after that. I think there was like 4 or 5 games. Not as much as I would have liked, so it's something that I think we need to improve on to make sure our students understand this is what's appropriate, this is how you get excited at a game, and you have some common cheers. Because I don't know if you guys remember when we went to state in basketball many years ago, there was a ton of excitement, and there were some really good student leaders that were leading those cheers. Some of those cheers inappropriate, and Vince had to basically tell them to stop, but they were just very excited at games. So that's another thing that we wanted to do this year that will continue to grow. Okay, any questions? All right. Thanks, guys.